the Hoang Zero.
Which again, it's a two-man team, by the way.
Well, there we go. So you're Hoang.
Yeah.
Where's Zero?
So Zero is a friend of mine from Vanguard, actually, and he's the one who actually motivated me to make the channel. He if you, I don't know if I've ever said this, I definitely said this in public, but probably not often. The only reason we started Digimon content in the first place was because we thought the English community sucked. I would watch English gameplay and I would get really annoyed, honest to God. I was like, wow, this is terrible play. So we made a channel to help teach people how to not suck. And that's the origin.
Literally, that's basically why we started this podcast like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
That was literally the reason why. Almost.
But
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I don't like to badmouth anything anybody.
No.
But like I see some things and I'm like, you could use some guidance in some way, shape, or
for context, though, you have to remember at the time I made the channel, I was at like my peak. Like there was an argument.
Yeah.
I was like the best player. I don't want to toot my own horn, but
oh no, toot the hell out of it.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
I was
Go
arguably
for it,
like
bro. We'll back you.
I was arguably like one of the, if not the best player in English format at the time, right? Because I was winning events left and right, and not like Bandai events, because Bandai just didn't have events, but like as far as like online events went, and like the Bandai Major after getting that first place, like there was like a very solid, argument you can make that we're gonna say one of the best. Okay, I don't want to. We're not gonna toot the horn that hard. So
I mean, you don't get to 17,000 subs without being the best.
17.
However many. I don't know how many you're at. You're at a lot though.
Six. Oh, I think almost 7,000 right now.
Oh, is it 7?
Yeah, we're almost 7,000.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
This man Varney just pulling numbers out his ass, bro.
Yo, right.
It's 17. It's 17 if you believe it, right? I mean, 10,000 people just like that out of nowhere.
But yeah, so at the time I was at my peak and I played way too much because again I was unemployed. So I just watching these misplays kind of hurt me internally, and I was like, ooh, we can do better. We can do better as a region. So again,
that's how I feel every time we commentate for our tournament. Sometimes I'm just like, no, why that play? Don't do that. And then they do it, and it's just like,
It do be like that sometimes.
So how did you guys get, like, was it just better shared between the two of you doing the content? Or was it just something that like you were just like, screw it, I don't know anything about this, here, help me out?
That.
Okay.
But to be fair, neither of us knew anything. We just knew that we were both very good players, and that we would be able to at least come up with something decent, right? So he and I worked on like a lot of script writing together. I did all the editing because again, I had too much free time. He was fully employed, so I did all the editing. I still do the editing. But nowadays it's a little bit harder to make videos as consistently just because life got busy. But we still do what we can. And funnily enough, Zero, the other half, he has not actually topped any Digimon events, funnily enough. But he plays more than me, actually, to be honest with you. He's a very good player, actually, very good. He plays more than me. He just doesn't like playing online events. And every time he's tried to do an IRL event, something unfortunate happens. Like last time in Fort Worth, he was gonna play, and his tire blew out.
Oh no!
So we couldn't make it to the venue because it was, do I play Digimon or do I go get my car fixed because I have to go home the next day? Probably that one, right? So very unfortunate, and I'm convinced if he had played it, he would have topped. But he has a very historic record in other card games. He's a really great card fight Vanguard track record. He did really well in Magic the Gathering, pretty well in Hearthstone. He hit Legend, which depending on where you're at in the card game community, that's like, oh, I hit Legend on like a consistent basis. Like, cool, good for you, bro. I was like hard stuck rank fucking 9. Like,